the song with your heart. Play the song with your heart.
Let's move to a different team. Let's go to the New Orleans Saints. All right, depth chart. All right, draft picks. Let's go to.
So if you want a depth chart thing, I believe the one people use is called Our Lads.
Our lads.
OURLADS. I think that's what most of the fans
That
want.
okay.
Yeah.
I just saw that. All right, I'll use that then. Okay. All right.
And it's much easier to navigate because once you're on the depth chart page, you just click the drop down on the top right, and then you just see all the teams. So it's
Okay.
just seamless transition.
Bet. All right. Cool. All right. So here we go. New Orleans Saints. All right. So we already know they have Chris Olave. They have, I mean, they really haven't changed much. They still have Alvin Kamara. They still have pretty much the same offensive line. So you have Derek Carr. He's the QB, which is not saying
Something.
much. But yeah, I mean, they haven't. Let me look at the free agent acquisitions. I don't recall them really getting many free agents besides Chase Young, Jonathan Abraham.
No, they drafted Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah, they did draft Kool-Aid. I forgot about that. They also drafted Spencer Rattler in the 5th round. Yeah. No. I mean, as
Felicity Fuaga. I think Fuaga, he was like my OT1 in this draft class.
Really.
Mhm.
So, okay. I mean, nothing wrong with drafting the trenches. They normally develop pretty well when it comes to offensive linemen, so I don't blame them for going to the trenches, especially the offensive line. You need to give
Especially
your QB more time.
And according to people were saying about the training camp, Trevor Penning is not a dude.
Trevor Penning, yeah.
I mean, everyone who could even do a lick of scouting could see that.
Man. Well, yeah, that is. I mean, the Saints.
The thing is, their roster isn't like bad.
It's not terrible. I think last year, a lot of people were very high on the Saints.
They were,
including myself. I picked them to win a division, but they weren't able to capitalize. I think part of that was just Derek Carr's inability to make enough plays. I think Dennis Allen as a head coach,
they kept him. Like, are they drunk?
I don't get that one. I don't get that at all. I looked at this team last year. I thought that in the trenches, they're by far the best in the division, offensively and defensively. The offensive line, though, at times I felt like it was a little underwhelming. There were times where I'm looking at the offensive line and I'm saying to myself, like, y'all supposed to have some dudes on that line, and you're getting pushed around sometimes. But ultimately, it boils down to Derek Carr, and Alvin Kamara. I think he was dealing with an injury.
He was suspended.
Yeah, and he came back, and the way that they were utilizing him, I was a bit confused.
He was a fantasy demon, though. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, he would get 20 points from. And you look at a stat sheet and be like, how did he get 20 fantasy points?
A lot of targets, a lot of receptions. He's a reception merchant. Like he won't give you 100 yards on the ground, but he'll get you 6 catches for like 50 yards, and that'll be good enough. Yeah, Alvin Kamara, do you think he's on the decline?
The thing is, I'm not sure. I mean, you look at his numbers, like his numbers aren't the greatest. He never was like 1,000-yard rusher or anything. He was always a versatile back. He'd catch the ball and catch the screen passes, quick little routes out of the backfield. He never was really like, we're going to carry the ball, give you 20 carries a game, and he was never that running back. I mean, considering he missed about 6 or so games, I think last year. His numbers are pretty in line with what he's got for his career. So I wouldn't say he's on a decline. It's just that the team just wasn't very good.
I don't know. I was watching a couple games and you're right. It is hard to say. I think when you don't have Sean Payton as your head coach anymore and you're relying on a different offensive coordinator, who's the offensive coordinator?
Because Clint,
Oh, man, I remember I had Chris Olave on my fantasy team, not this past season, but the season before, and
His
I
rookie
don't know if
year.
yeah, I don't know if they still had the same offensive coordinator or not, but I recall the offense was there was something wrong with the offense. There's something off with the offense. So I don't know if they still have the same offensive coordinator, but when you look at the Saints this past season, they had the same problems. Like the offense just wasn't that good. You could point to just the quarterback maybe not being relatively good, but I don't know. It just felt like the offense was always off. And when I look at
See, the
Alvin
thing
Kamara,
is, you go from having obviously Alvin Kamara's best years. I mean, Kamara's best years was when he had Drew Brees and Michael Thomas was playing.
yeah,
Then you go from Drew Brees and Michael Thomas to Jameis Winston to Derek Carr
yeah.
and Michael Thomas. Is he even still in the league at this point?
That's a great question. I have no clue. I'm
I don't
not
even
matter of
think he's
fact,
on the team at this
he's
point.
he's not on the team. I think he may be a free agent right now.
Exactly. And then you got to rely on a rookie to be a wide receiver one. Chris Olave is great, but it seems like Derek Carr has issues finding him when he's wide open at times. Like I'm looking again, I'm like, bro, Chris Olave's open like majority of the time. Why can't they just get this guy the ball? Like it's very impressive. He even had 1,100 yards last year, considering the amount of time Derek Carr straight up did not throw him the ball.
Yeah.
So it's just the line issues. The defense can only do so much. Derek Carr over there stinking up the joint. I mean, that's what it really is. They just can't figure out the QB.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just
I expect them to win about, I'd say 7, 8 games.
I give them 8. Their team is just too talented not to at least win 8 games. But again, it just boils down to the quarterback. They haven't nothing really has changed much for this team. It's pretty much damn near the same team. I just don't know. I just don't know if they're going to be able to take a leap, if they're going to be able to correct some of the errors that they committed last season. I don't think this team respects Dennis Allen as a head coach. Last year, I think at the end of the season, there was a lot of criticism. I remember, I
As it
forget, I
should
think
have
it was
been.
James. I remember Jameis Winston. Remember the whole thing with Jameis Winston and I think Dennis Allen called something and Jameis Winston, he ignored it. So
Yeah.
I
It
don't think,
was that play in the red zone on the goal line or something, I believe. Like
yeah,
it was like
yeah,
the game was almost over or something like that. And they were just
yeah,
like, man, forget all
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. He said we're gonna score. I think Dennis Allen wanted him to take a knee or something, maybe.
Yeah. I think
But
that's what it was.
yeah. So I don't think this team really respects him that much. I know I'm speculating a little bit, but just going off of what I've heard from football players and just looking at the film itself, it's not a good sign. It's not a good look for them. So yeah, let's go to Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then we'll all right.
Buccaneers were very interesting.
Yeah, I think they're going to take a step back.
Definitely a possibility.
I think they're going to take for me. I think the reason why is because Dave Canales is not the offensive coordinator anymore. I think Baker Mayfield, he's not a terrible quarterback, but I think part of the reason why he excelled.
Just let me be me.